Hello everyone, this is Mr. Stars here, and today I'm introducing you to a new series that I am creating called How Did I Upgrade That? A group of videos where I grab Precon Commander decks that I play from Magic the Gathering and give an overview over how these decks work and how did I change them to work better according to their playstyle. Since this is my first video on this series, nothing better than to start with the very first Precon that I ever got from Magic the Gathering, Phantom Premonition. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Part 1, the Commander. Phantom Premonition is a quite unique Azorius or white and blue Commander Precon takes to its commander, Ranar the Ever Watchful, which explores foretelling. For those who don't know, foretelling allows players to pay 2 mana and exile the card with foretell face down and later play it for the foretell cost. Basically, you pay a portion for the card's cost and later cast it with reduced cost. When Ranar is on the battlefield, the first card you foretell on your turn can be foretold for free. Not to mention that every time a card on the battlefield or in your hand is exiled, Ranar creates a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Since foretelling exiles cards from your hand, you can create these spirit tokens as long as Ranar is on the battlefield and you have cards with foretell on your hand. The way in which our commander works gives us an idea of how to build our deck based on around it. And although the Phantom Premonition Precon explores well this idea on its own, there are some changes that we can make that exploit even more the mechanic. And to explain better, I'm dividing this video in between commanders, which I already explained just now, creatures, spells, artifacts, enchantments, and lands, so there is no confusion when showing the cards. Part 2. Creatures. Starting with the creatures, we want to have creatures that trigger our commander's ability, synergizes with the commander, and benefits from foretell and exile, or help in other ways. One creature you want to have in this deck is the Cosmos Charger, due to it having foretell and reduces the foretell cost by 1 mana when on battlefield, motivating you to foretell cards even more. It also has flash, so you can summon it on someone else's turn. Another creature would be Drogsoul Captain. He gives other spirit creatures you control, including your commander, +1/+1 and hexproof. Ethereal Valkyrie is yet another creature you want to have, because when it enters the battlefield or attacks, not only does it draw you a card, but it also gives a free foretell activation for one of the cards in your hand, independent if it had foretell or not. I also recommend you to have Glorious Protector, Sage of the Beyond, and Brago King Eternal. Glorious Protector is a creature that works like a counter for board wipes thanks to Flash, where when it enters the battlefield, you can exile all non-angel creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield, which then they come back. Sage of the Beyond's ability to reduce the cost of spells by 2 mana triggers when you cast spells that were foretold, hence why it fits well on the deck. As for Brago, his ability to exile any number of target non-land permanents you control and then bring them back to the battlefield whenever he deals command damage to a player not only triggers Ranar's ability to create more spirit tokens, but you can also target creatures with enter the battlefield abilities, which they would trigger again because they are leaving and entering the battlefield again. Having this in mind and exploring Brago specifically, I recommend putting Stoic Farmer, Shepherd of the Cosmos, Flicker's Whip, Seagate Oracle, Knight of the White Orchid, Wall of Omens, Skyclave Apparition, Anthem Mutineer, Angel of Finality, Restoration Angel, Yorin Sky Nomad, Angel of Serenity, Luminate Primordial, Glasspool Mimic, Core Cartographer, Cloud Blazer, Karmic Guide, Mooddrifter, Sun Titan, Diluvian Primordial, Spirefynx, and Meteor Golem. These creatures, when they enter the battlefield, have a range of triggers from searching the library for basic land cards to exiling creatures or permanents, bringing permanents back from the graveyard, drawing cards, creating creature tokens, and destroying permanents. Some additional creatures I put on my deck are Hero of Bredgard, Soul Herder, Burnished Heart, and Vega, the Watcher. Hero of Bredgard and Soul Herder work similarly to each other, where they get +1/+1 counters for every card that is exiled from your hand to the battlefield. Vega the Watcher draws a card for you whenever you cast a spell that was foretold, and Burnished Heart is there for you to search basic land. Part 3. Spells. Thanks to this deck being Azorius, we get our hands on some of the really cool spells, especially instants, and lucky for us, there is a variety of these spells that also have foretell and exile creatures. Some examples would be Depart the Realm, Mystic Reflection, Iron Verdict, Ravenform, Saw It Coming, Behold the Multiverse, Cosmic Intervention, Starnhigh Unleashed, Tales of the Ancestors, Doomskar, Spectral Deluge, and Outrun's Epiphany. Starnhigh Unleashed is awesome, due to it allowing you to summon multiple Angel Warrior tokens if you foretell it. And Outrun's Epiphany is also excellent, as it allows you to create 2 bird tokens and take another turn after this one that you are currently playing, which is just unbelievable. Other instants and sorceries I recommend are Sports of Plowshares, Eerie Interlude, Windfall, Return to the just Cleansing Nova and Misdirection. After all, an Azorius deck with all cool spells is not an Azorius deck at all. And to help finding situation spells or get your hands on Starnheim Unleashed or Auron's Epiphany, I also put a Mystical Tutor on the deck. Part 4. Artifacts. Artifacts are pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Mind Stone, and in this deck's case, Azorius Signet. However, I'm also adding to this deck Downsing Dagger for its Lost Veil transformation, Swift Boots, Sword of the Anonymous for basic lands, and Daw Vessel, since we could possibly draw more cards than our hands can handle in this deck. Part 5. Enchantments. There's only a handful of enchantments on this deck, but nonetheless they do their part and work well on this deck. I recommend putting Rest in Peace so that all graveyards are exiled and creatures that would enter the battlefield are exiled instead. Grasp of Fate, Reconnaissance Mission, especially because you are going wide instead of tall in this deck, and Day of the Dragons, to surprise your opponents and exile your creatures and tokens to replace them with dragons, as well as when the achievement ends, you get creatures back. Part 6. Lands. Due to so many cards having the ability to look for basic lands on this deck, I chose to put 9 plains and 8 islands on this deck. You then place a command tower because it is a commander deck after all, Azorius Chancery, and because this deck is technically a spirit tribal deck, although there are a lot of angels too, Path of Ancestry is also highly recommended. I then placed Fabled Passage, Flooded Strand, and Windswept Heath so that you can crack them to search your library for basic lands and Reliquary Tower for unlimited hand size. The remaining lands are Gates of Istafall, Glacial Floodplain, Glacial Fortress, Hollow Fountain, Irrigated Farmland, Lotus Field, Myriad Landscape, Foretell, Prairie Stream, Sea of Clouds, Seacrum Coast, and Tectonic Edge. Conclusion. And with all being said, when you combine all the cards that I have mentioned on this deck, you have yourself the version of Phantom Premonition that I like to play Commander with. For a starting hand with this deck, I recommend you to aim for a hand that has 3 lands and at least 1 card with Foretell, so that you have a guaranteed land drop for the first 3 rounds and you can already start working with your Commander when you get him from the command zone. Remember, this deck is about going wide, and because it is Azorius, it will take multiple rounds for you to develop your battlefield, so have patience and aim in keeping your creatures alive. There are a lot of spells and creatures available in this deck to aid you in that goal. And the most important part, have fun. Magic the Gathering is a tabletop card game after all. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and comment in case you have any questions or recommend any changes to the deck that you think would make it better. I am Mr. Stars, and I will see you on the next video.